This is a sponsored video because we've got to save up money for our studio, and today's sponsor is the one, the only, Skillshare. Skillshare is a wonderful online learning community where you can enjoy a wide variety of classes that can help you explore your interests or find a brand spanking new one. With 2024 just around the corner, maybe you're thinking of picking up a new hobby or turning a passion of yours into a career. Skillshare offers all kinds of classes that cover many different topics that could be helpful to you. Whether it's art and animation, photography, film, or even productivity classes, they are sure to offer a class that interests you. As you may know, I've been using Skillshare for quite a while now, taking classes to help improve my art skills and learning tips on how to be more confident in my art. Lately, I've been studying different anatomical poses and body types, gotta expand my artistic library, gotta keep things varied with all the GinjaNinjaOwos I've been drawing recently. Something that helped me with that is drawing people, creating unique and dynamic character poses in Procreate by Sarah Holiday. She takes a look at how to create dynamic poses for a variety of body types and art styles. The class aims to help you draw realistic human proportions and unique body shapes so you can master drawing all kinds of fun characters. She uses Procreate in her tutorial, but the tips apply across all forms of mediums and materials that you may want to use. The first 500 people to click the link in the description below will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so you can dive into a class to help you explore your creativity. Thank you so much to Skillshare, and now, on with the video.
Howdy hey, I'm Ray. I just did a video turning all the Eeveelutions into pretty girl GinjaNinjaOwos. And I wasn't sure I wanted to do a boy version of it, but then I had an idea for Eevee that I adored. I loved. So let's just jump in. Turning the Eeveelutions into pretty boy GinjaNinjaOwos. Except they're not like gender bends or anything. I want the boys to be all like distinctly different characters and concepts from what I did with the girls, but also, I don't know, I'm not gonna stress the overlap too much. With the girl GinjaNinjaOwos I did, I designed Eevee as being the young baby sister in a found family dynamic of older sisters. None of them were like biologically related as the older sister evolutions, they were just meant to act as Eevee's guardians. I want to keep that foundation for the boy versions, I just want to change up the actual character of the GinjaNinjaOwos. So where my girl Eevee was designed to be chaotic, very bold and expressive of how much she wants to be like all her sisters, maybe the boy's a little more laid back. The way I saw it, the very first hurdle to translating the Eeveelutions into men and boy was going to be incorporating their ears somehow. Commonly, this is something I would use hair to convey, but conventionally, men's hairstyles are kind of restrictive compared to women's. I mean, the general solution is fuck it, we ball, and giving my guys fun hairstyles anyway, but specifically, I was inspired to do this continuation video because I thought these kind of Miles Prowler style braids, but like bigger and rounder for a stronger silhouette, would be super cute for Eevee's ears. I liked that one idea so much that I committed to 2 rounds of designing 9 more characters. I went with giving him a cute, tidy school uniform that was tailored towards his Eevee colors, but with a big, oversized jacket that practically swallows him, since Eevee's so fluffy. I gave him light-up sneakers that have all of the main Eeveelution colors as the lights as like a subtle little callback. And I also shaped his backpack to look like an Eevee's tail. I think it's a little overt, but it'll do. Lastly, to avoid overloading the design with brown, I made the jacket Pokeball themed instead. One of his brothers probably gave it to him. He's still a little boy who's got his found family of 8 big brothers looking out for him, but where girl Eevee can mostly handle herself because she knows what she wants to be. She wants to be everything. She'll make sure you know it. Boy Eevee's a lot more reserved. He doesn't really feel certain about anything. He doesn't even pick his own clothes, and they worry about him. I finished drafting Eevee feeling great about him. He's so cute, he's so tiny. But starting on Vaporeon brought me a swift reality check about the struggles I was about to face throughout the rest of this video. Men's fashion sucks. I'm fighting for my fucking life out here. It's typically so limited and boring. You can only do so much with t-shirts and jackets and pants. There's maybe 4 types of shirt collars and like 3 cuts of pants or shorts. It's so much less diverse than women's fashion, and getting creative with the style tends to edge it out of what is perceived as masculine. God, fuck you, Beau Brummel. Good thing I love me some femme, androgynous, and or genderqueer presenting men. We're just gonna have a little fun. My girl Vaporeon was a super athletic swimmer, so with my boy designed, I wanted to find a different water-based interest to theme his design around. My first thought was to try going fisherman, but I wasn't enjoying that. Pussy was not poppin'. I thought I could have some fun with the shape of those fishing overalls or even those crazy like thigh-high boots, but I couldn't get them to suit the vibe that I wanted quick enough, and since I realized ahead of time that trouble was coming, I went ahead and just started out the creative process by asking my friends/team for suggestions again. Skitty suggested going for a watercolor painter instead, and that's a fun idea, so I ran with it. I tried to give him a casual and comfy style so he'd look at home on a shorefront or like a pier, somewhere on a beach. I gave him a bucket hat to look like Vaporeon's big white fins, and a neckerchief with a big tie in the back with the bow so it could look like his tail fin, and I kept the clothes nice and loose. I gave him purple sunglasses to represent Vaporeon's purple eyes, but he literally has eyes that are probably purple if he would just open them, so the glasses might be pretty redundant. And then for a little extra character, I covered him in paint smears and I had him treat the top of his paint box as his palette. That's something I liked to do back when I was more into traditional painting. I don't know, I think that messy dried palettes look so cool. Final design is cute. Kind of plain, I think. And I think his paint splatters, I don't know, something about him looks a little familiar. My girl design for Jolteon was pure and simply punk. And I'll be honest, my initial idea for boy Jolteon was punk rock. Basically the same thing, but slightly different flavors. I knew that going in, and I did it anyway. Shrugs. Jolteon was not my favorite child this time around. In my head, I justified why this punk Jolteon was different from the girl one. I don't know why. I didn't like doing it. I wasn't even all that happy with how it was turning out. I just didn't have anything else at the time, and I was hoping this would give me an idea for something else later. Better to have something on the page than nothing. He's got big spiky hair for his big spiky butt, and a thunderbolt-shaped electric guitar, and a bunch of white spiked collars. I went wild with the pants again. Unnecessarily complicated and baggy pants with platform shoes, lots and lots of yellow. He's fine, I guess. I did manage to avoid accidentally making another Volceron, but nothing about this really strikes me as especially interesting or endearing. The biggest difference is that his clothes don't fit and he has a guitar, so I don't know, we'll have to come back to him later. I mean, we will come back to him later, but we have to. My girl Flareon was a high glamour sort of socialite. Let's try something a little more down to earth for the boy. My team agreed that they wanted at least one big soft boy who wore a Letterman. Of course they want a big teddy bear, and Flareon is the boy for the job. Easy enough. I'm picturing a gentle giant of an athlete with a lot of big poofy hair, and those kind of ginger freckles that sort of take over your face. Like there's the freckles sprinkled across your nose type, and then there's the freckles are taking over type. Give me the latter here. I wanted to make him look as warm and friendly as possible. Definitely leaning on the warm since I gave him another hoodie underneath his Letterman so that I could have a fluffy interior to represent Flareon's mane. And I thought for the tail I could give him a big fluffy towel sticking out of his sports bag. Even though his ponytail is already supposed to be the tail, these designs have been pretty prop-reliant so far. I don't feel like that's a bad thing. Yet. Probably. I don't know how much I like the towel thing anyway, but it'll work for now. By the end, there isn't a whole lot special happening here. I'm not terribly attached or endeared, but I see potential, so it's a functional draft for now. With Girl Espeon, I did punk, but pastel punk? Let's stop doing punk. Enough. Punk's not dead, but it's going to sleep. I feel like I had a solid idea for Espeon going into the design, and it didn't turn out the way I'd hoped. A good amount of people suggested on the last video that I could have made Espeon Indian and given her a bindi for the red gem that Espeon has instead of the acne that I did give her. I don't know much about bindis, so I did a little research, and it looks like it's not exactly common for men to wear specifically bindis in the culture, but it isn't uncommon either. So I thought, fuck it, but also what if I did genderqueer vibes anyway? So that just works. I was looking up general Indian street fashion. We got some long, luxurious, beautiful hair stylized to be split like Espeon's tail. Some of those striped pants with really bold patterning and a tied belt instead of a functional one. I mean, I guess it still functions, but you know. I tested out a couple different shirt styles, and in the end, I went with the safe option. I think I like it. I also decided that since it was just a draft, I didn't want to bother figuring out the actual patterning on the pants yet because I knew that would take a long time. It's just a draft. I don't want to spend all that much time on it. I just left some colors blocked in to elaborate on later. He didn't turn out quite as pretty as I wanted, and there's still something's missing. But it's a start, so we'll come back. It's fine. Girl Umbreon, I designed to be her hot goth mommy, and I still wanted to go kinda goth with boy Umbreon, but in a way that's actually different flavors of goth. Bless Jolteon for trying. What I knew right away when starting Umbreon was that he was getting hip windows. No particular reason, just wanted him to have them. It was a treat for me. I was planning on doing the fucking pasty white boy with spiky black anime hair kinda look, but my friend and team member Izzy immediately begged for Umbreon to look like this. Okay, how can I say no? Beanie covering the eyes and big chunky locks. Beautiful. I decided to go with the slouchy skater boy, he said see you later boy vibe. And I thought about giving him those really tall Converse, but I ended up going for those tennis shoes with like the redonkulously big soles. I guess they're technically platform tennis shoes, but like there's more to these soles than that. Really out here channeling Shadow the Hedgehog, which is maybe why I'm getting an incredibly distinct Hot Topic vibe from him. So I also gave him rainbow arm warmers for a fun pop of color. Just lean into it. Hot Topic vibes all the way. Covered his baggy pants in some golden metal rings. Made his shoes red since we couldn't see his red eyes. And this is the first one since Eevee that I am really happy with how he looks. He is just a chill, respectful skater guy. Girl Leafeon was designed to be a cottagecore dream. She lives amongst the plants. For the boy, let's lean more into the gardening aspect. Grower of the plants. With Leafeon, my friend Wisp requested a super cute, super nerdy boy, the kind with bow ties and nerdy glasses. I said yes, I will do this. And then I didn't do this. I certainly tried. He just kind of ended up edging more into a hipster plant dad direction. I'm sorry, Wisp. I had no control. He said apron on, chest hair out. Leafeon took the reins here. I'm your humble messenger, that's it. The apron has some leafy decals on the shoulders and a tie on the back that looks like Leafeon's leaves. I gave him some decorative, delicate chains on his glasses. Ah, beautiful man, and he knows it. He said confidence, not cockiness. He's for sure a nerd, just not the one that Wisp asked for. He's a nerd for his plants, and he likes to work with them all day. And it gets too hot for bow ties. I mean, they're just gonna get dirty anyway. I'm pretty pleased with how he turned out. I don't think I need to change much for the final design. My human girl Glaceon was dressed for the occasion being winter. Surely, we can come up with something more specific than that for the boy. My team collectively agreed, that they wanted Glaceon to be a figure skater, and for Sylveon to be a ballet dancer, and for them to be boyfriends. Simple enough on the surface. Robin also specifically requested, and I'm checking my notes here, I'm reading verbatim, they wanted him to be a whore? Who am I to deny their simple wants? Okay, I'll do my best. I did my best. For this Glaceon, I tried to make his style a little avant-garde, like he's in one of his performance costumes and just going to like the mall or something. His hair is angular and asymmetrical. There just isn't much going on. The ice skater vibe is certainly there, and that's like it. That's it. I added some orange eye makeup, and that helped a little bit so he could read as having like a touch of vanity, while the bulk of his personality is pretty steely. But yet again, this design just feels too plain on its own. I have to think about how to address that with the final design when we get to that. Which is soon, because now the only draft left is Sylveon. My girl Gijinka for Sylveon was an idol. She had some magical girl vibes going on with her outfit. Like I already said though, the team wanted to make boy Sylveon into a ballet dancer. So absolutely, let's get some ballerino rep. Instead of still being in his ballet costume, I tried to put him in what I thought he might be wearing at like a casual dance practice. Not quite everyday wear, but he could be serving at the grocery store later if he wanted and probably not look too out of place. He's got on proper tights and he's got ballet slippers and also a loose-fitting sweater to add something more free-flowing to the silhouette and make him appear more graceful when he stretches his upper body out. I tried to give him a messy ponytail that could resemble Sylveon's ears and tail and a little bow on his neck for good measure to make him feel pretty. I don't know. Again, it's very plain. It's also definitely too similar to Glaceon's design. Couples who look like each other. Sylveon, I feel like, definitely ends on a bit of a whimper instead of a bang. It's fine as a stopping point as a draft. The revisions begin now. I've got my work cut out for me. Just like the last video, it was time to resize everyone and figure out their actual proportions, and then assess all of my drafts as a group before I continued on to finalization. I wasn't feeling nearly as good about these drafts altogether as I did with the girls. I was struggling so much with just finding a way to utilize men's fashion in general that a lot of them ended up looking too similar in like their overall shape. Like I was too distracted with one thing to focus on the other, so that's something I want to change up in the final drafts. And generally, I want them to have a little more, I don't know, je ne sais quoi. They look a little too regular for my tastes. Too average Joe. I mean, I guess they're not all that average, but like, there's not enough here. Because my favorite part of any good character design is when you see clothing that you wish so badly existed in real life because you'd wear it, but it doesn't exist. So I asked my friends for any notes and feedback again, and I ran away from the challenge for a couple days to recalibrate my thoughts, see if time away brought any new ideas to the table, and then collected a few suggestions as they came in, and it was time to go back to work. Starting strong, I changed practically nothing about Eevee's design. I was so smitten with the first draft, I was mostly focused on picking a pose that would help me show off the aspects of the design that I liked the best in the most efficient way. For some character acting, I have him running up to presumably one of his brothers, showing off his Eevee that he's evolving on his Game Boy. Into what? What'll it be? Who knows? I did remove the inner pattern from his jacket that looked like the inside of the Pokeball. It's fun, I think it was just a little unnecessary, and I changed the pattern on his sweater vest to be Argyle instead. Good ol' Argyle! Tried and true Argyle. When in doubt, Argyle out. Can I get an amen? This is the final Eevee, boy edition. He can come across a little lukewarm. He relies a lot on the adults in his life to make choices on what he wears, what he eats, because he doesn't really know how to make a solid decision without regretting that he didn't make a different one. His brothers want him to be comfortable with expressing himself, so he's got a lot of growing up to do. Do your best, Eevee. Vaporeon's next, and so this guy changed everything for me. From conception, my friend and team lead Robin really liked my Vaporeon. I mean, they really liked this guy. They just fell in love with him. I didn't really expect him to be their favorite, but he was. They said that they had a suggestion for his final design, and then they ran away and didn't come back. That silly fucking fool hoped I'd forget. Robin, you ever finished making those Vaporeon notes for me?
No, it wasn't turning out the way that I saw in my head.
Robin had sketched out and described that they thought Vaporeon's tail should be more present than just in his neckerchief. They suggested adjusting his pants to have a mermaid tail pattern down one of the legs, maybe some decorative pearls or rhinestones, that it should look like, and I quote, something he got from the girls section. Robin seemed to like the first draft so much I chose to believe in it, and I started on the final design, keeping it pretty much the same, just changing the pants and removing the unnecessary sunglasses. I wasn't quite able to pull off Robin's initial vision, so instead I tried taking on a pattern more in my wheelhouse, something more inspired by color block patterns and mermaid tights. I split those pants in half, and I had one leg with shimmery light blue scales, a line of darker blue scales to be like the ridge on Vaporeon's back, and I tied those off on the end to give it a fin shape. I am in love with these freaking pants, dude. I'm so happy with this final design, these pants! So happy with this final drawing. I think this is one of my favorite things I've drawn recently, period. And it unlocked something in my brain that really should not have been a revelation, but I can just make shit up. Men's fashion will bend to my will and whimsy. Why am I constantly relearning that I can just make shit up? Here's final Vaporeon. He's perpetually got his head in the clouds, and he used to skip school a lot to go down to the pier and paint the harbor. Since he's friends with most of the fishermen, he always brings fresh seafood home for dinner, and he always smells vaguely of salt. Before we move on to Jolteon, I would like to draw the class's attention once again to this lineup. I drew over all the boys to break them down into their main shapes, and I circled the ones that I thought were too similar so I could brainstorm what different kinds of body types I could give them, so each character would look unique from the rest. Jolteon was way too similar to Espeon. They were both string-beaky without much hip or shoulder definition, so I had to change up one of them at least. And the first thing that came to my mind with Jolteon was, okay, so electric type, what if I gave him thunder thighs? And then my friend Caden also gave me this edit of my first draft with his personal notes on the design. I took that and my thought for the new body type, and I ran with it. And all of this led to just absolute horrification. Caden wanted lightning bolt-shaped top scars, wish granted my liege, so fucking true. And I wanted him to have thighs so muscly that they no longer looked normal, like bulging muscular thighs. I was having a blast with these two things, but both of these, they're not necessarily the easiest things to show off in a usual outfit. I went out of my way to rip the ever-loving fuck out of his jeans. I had to pose a scrap of a shirt billowing in the wind in a way that showed his scars off. Tits are out. Why even bother wearing a shirt at that point, bestie? Take it off. At a glance, this guy almost looks like he's naked and that he's just using his guitar to keep his nudes tasteful, and you know what? I'm not apologizing for slutting it up with him. There's something indescribably validating about turning to your friends with a design draft like, hey, how's this look? And being met with a chorus of thirsty monkey noises. This is the final Jolteon. He's a rock star who definitely dives into the crowd to break up fights at his shows. And when he comes home afterwards, he's the most affectionate, doting big brother of all 8 of the others. He started up a chore board to make sure everyone was doing their fair share, and he gave himself the hardest chores to do, but he snuck himself the fewest turns cooking because he's not very good at it. Going into Flareon's final design, I was trying to recreate that thought process for finalizing Vaporeon because I had similar issues with both. face line, they were fine. They needed a little something extra and different to give him a little bit more of a unique identity. Initially, I gave him this giant ponytail alluding to the tail, and I kept finding myself wanting to give him another tail elsewhere. There's already so much going on around the silhouette of his head. So then I thought maybe it's because his head is so busy and I want this design to be more spread out. So what I ended up doing was giving him a big, thick beanie so he could have some yellow coming straight off the top of his head like Flareon's actual bangs. And then I tied his hair into a really super tight braid until the very end where the hair poofs out and acts like a tail. This way I could literally just take the silhouette of his tail from here and move it all the way down there. Balance. Excellent. Not much changed other than that. He's still the big fluffy teddy bear my team wanted, and I think he is so cute. Final Flareon. He comes off a little indecisive because he says yes to everything, so his schedule is always packed with stuff he's agreed to. He just doesn't want to disappoint anyone. He plays a bunch of different sports, he dabbles in all of his friends' hobbies, but his favorite part of the week has got to be choir practice. Espeon was giving me a lot of trouble, and for a while I didn't know why, until I realized that my big mistake with him was I accidentally just gave him two identities, Indian and kinda genderqueer, and I called it a day for the design. I didn't give him an interest. Everybody else has an interest. In fact, I think that was my issue when I did Girl Glaceon too. She doesn't have an interest, her personality trait was just cold. I forgot to make him a character. Espeon needed more to his personality to drive life into his outfit, so I went with Devil Wears Prada, fashion mogul, rich and famous fashionista type. He's got 2 walk-in closets just dedicated to his shoes. He gives his interns overcomplicated coffee orders just as a show of his power while at work. If you spill food on his shirt, you'd fear either for your life or your financial stability. I wanted his clothes to be like his art. I gave him pretty intricate earrings for the inner color of his ears on top of the shape of his hair, and I kept his tied belt as sort of a callback to the long, thin tail that it has. I even gave the belt 2 buckle ends because I want people to kind of give him a double take, a what the fuck? This guy's clearly got some exotic kind of tastes. That seems like it suits the psychic typing pretty well. Also, Wisp gave me this edited draft of my first design, and I didn't go in this direction, but I did directly lift the proposed sandals. Those were great. Thanks, Busty. Here's the final Espeon. I just gave you a lot of details about him that make him seem like a real piece of work, and he's got some serious little dog syndrome. He and Glaceon don't get along at all because he is terribly jealous of how effortlessly cool Glaceon appears. Umbreon hardly changed. I love this design. However, I struggled with getting a goddamn sketch I liked. I wanted to give him a fun and more overt skater's pose, but I couldn't find one I liked that also properly showed off his design. There's too much bending over in a lot of the fun ones. I let Robin show me an entire anime just to give me ideas for skating poses, except I got too sucked into the plot, so I ended up keeping his pose pretty simple. Not what I wanted, but it's fine. At least I have some new sons. I really didn't change much about his design aside from removing a couple details that I didn't really feel like drawing. My body was telling me that he was detailed enough and I listened. It's intuitive design. I mostly just had fun with the lighting on him. I went crazy, went stupid with my funny little rainbows. Here's the final Umbreon. He doesn't tend to talk much, but he's the contemplative type, where when you engage with him in a conversation, there's a 50-50 chance that he's saying something about Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4, or that it's like you crossed paths with an ageless being who knows and has seen more of the universe than you could comprehend in your tiny human life. I knew this from the get-go, but I really didn't realize until resizing everyone into proportion that Leafeon was a certified short king, and you know what? We are keeping that. He is tiny compared to the other boys, and he's perfect for it. I really didn't change much about him at all. I decided the little flower cufflinks were unnecessary and changed up the pattern on the apron, but otherwise I just tried to figure out a good pose to show the design off. I thought opening his arms would show the outfit off best, and if he's still holding a plant in one hand, then maybe I should give him a prop in the other hand to give him some balance, maybe a spray bottle. And then I adjusted the pose again into whatever made it so I could have the most fun drawing his fingers holding the spray bottle. I love drawing hands lately. It makes me feel so powerful. I also gave him particularly nice nails for no real reason. He's got a casual French tip thing going on. He either wears gloves whenever he's gardening to keep them clean like that, or he's a wizard. You take your pick. This is the final Leafeon. He's surprisingly hot-tempered, but it's just because he's so serious. He takes a lot of pride in his appearance and his plants, and he eats raw tomatoes from his garden like apples. They are just that good. For Glaceon, I thought maybe instead of going with a performance outfit that I might do better with an outfit that he might wear to skating practice instead. Like maybe an athletic jacket with some nice stretchy pants that he could fit around the skates. I also committed to actually giving him skates this time. I've dabbled in ice skating myself. I own my own pair of skates, and whenever you're not on the ice, they have these thick plasticky covers that you can put on the blades so you can walk on regular floors. I was thinking, maybe this guy's just a freak, and he uses those as an excuse to wear his skates all the time. He's like my girl Vaporeon in the way where he's always ready to jump into his chosen sport. It's just significantly harder to find random ice rinks than random bodies of water, so something about him comes off as slightly more unhinged, and I love that for him. Final Glaceon! He comes off as being pretty chilly, but his passion is fiery. He's intense, he's focused, but he's terrible with conversations. If you're talking too long, his ass is not listening. It's the autism, baby. He doesn't mean anything by it. He hasn't got the widest variety of interests, but he still manages to be something of a jack of all trades just by being at least a little bit good at everything he tries. And finishing us off with Sylveon. I took the style idea I had for Sylveon and Glaceon and I swapped them. Since now Glaceon is dressed more for practicing his craft, Sylveon is dressed for a performance 24/7. And furthermore, I think between the two of them, Glaceon is technically the more successful. Like, he's competing at, like, Olympic levels with his ice skating. Whereas Sylveon's fully committed to local theater. I'm talking, like, non-profit theaters that perform in a largest room that reuse the same set for every performance. He's in his costume, but he's, like, super overdressed, and it matches his level of enthusiasm, because he loves what he does so much. Nothing gives him more joy than putting on an improv for a humble little audience and making people smile. Wisp also gave me an edited draft for Sylveon, and I didn't go in this direction either, but I kept the facial hair that he suggested. That was good. Excellent, excellent. At last, final Sylveon. He's been doing ballet since he was itty-bitty, because he's always been infatuated with costume design. A regular ballet bee. I feel like he and Glaceon ended up looking like they'd make for a bit of an odd couple, but I think the team ship opinion shifted to Glaceon and Flareon anyway, so it's fine. And that brings us to the end of this batch of designs. The boys collectively changed a lot more from their drafts to the final designs than the girls did, and I was apprehensive with the drafts, but I really like how these finals turned out. Maybe even more than how much I like the final girls. I think at least 50% of that, though, is that my rendering style developed a little further, so I'm just so much happier with the final illustrations of the boys than I am with the girls. This was really fun, though. Definitely challenging, but I feel like I got a lot out of this experience, so huge dub for me. Of course, though, we are still forgetting one very important boy. Thank you all again so much for watching, and of course, thank you to all my patrons. $2 a month gets you access to everything I post, like works in progress and early access to video assets. $5 a month gets you access to the patron-exclusive live streams I do. And $10 a month gets your name read at the end of my videos, just like this! Thank you so much, too.
Violet Fox, Corpse Kid, Ryzen Darling, Moonlight Witch, Gator Kid 509, Donald Murphy, Serena Argyle, Blue is Faded, Catrex, Caesar Ringel, It's Riley, Styx, Prospero's Moon, King of the Ladybugs, Vivinyo, Foxy Hooligan, Idiot Rabbit, Greymon, and My Existence Gently, Wizard of Nine, Sad Raven, Inksterling, Cheeseman Official, Hua Ponko, Raynorald, Pastel J, MC Skittles, Aubrey and Faify, Fish Hearts, Emil, Diongo, Merlin Overloaded, Doopsy, Addy Batty, Zoner King 34, Angelic Pudding, Raz Candy Puppy, Angel Aphrodite, Morgami, Leah Michelle, Aquarius Sketches 13, Dreamy Elfie, Zero Peachy Star Zero, Goblin Dog Comics, Star Soul Studios, Morgan Shadow Squatter, Snapdragon Fern, Wishy Moose, Wing, Mogumi, Aki, Darkheart, Komodori, #1 Morag Letty Air Simp, Alpha Orige, Alpha AC Roberts, Blue, Jade Warlock, Beetle Sticks, Pebble ET, Ursula 707, Data Fox, Jaxelberry, Ash is Too Common, Pandora the Omnipresent, Via V, Velvy B, Natalia the Written 73, The Loud Artist, 360 I Have a Boy, Just a Sketchy Nerd, The Name's Raymond, M-Tray, Hellpup, Scissor Reaper, Gerard Alvarado, Chaotic Creations, It's a Me, Mari, Oculus Portfolio, Marplease, Snowbura, Isuka Inkblood, Jesper Barrel Alabaster, Solix, Sailor Starbones, Arya Days, Heavenly Deity, Ambit Bunny, Twisted Mind, Ace, Eeveelutions, Shrimpy Boy, Bo Cinnabarrel, Claire AD, King Jester, Moon Pie Dumpling, Jamie Cloud, Larice, Rainy's Corner, Vesicile, Nerd King 14, Blazing Locust, Sparky Knight, Snail, Connor Robinson, Honey Beast, Fund NBJ, Rybloom, Buttercat Row, Eddie Star, Goji Dragon, Vendetta, Elizabeth Ishii, Popsicle Personify, Leon Dexter, Rudio, your resident Disney princess, Posse, Homestuck ruined my goddamn life, PTR Draws, Fool on Cool, The Crystal Paladin, Damn Creativity, SLME, Mim Silvernote, Steph Goose Doodles, CJ Duffy, Sweetly Sinstraw, Strawberry Kitty, The Sleepy Detective, Bun Boy, Luby Z, Exorcist Lilum, Gravity Drop, Miss Contrary, Mist, Queen Sunoco, Night King, Sunset Lemonade, Lucas Might Be Mothman, Nate Lock, Gremlin, Cassie Wrights, Blue, Genuine Hero, Mario Medina, Zephyr Christos, Spidey Jr., Sholia, Ghostly Goat, Karina Floraline, Ali Mocha, Kitty Freak, Phantom Bagel, Zachary Borgs, Dragon Jaws, Stymphalian, Kyger, Capri Crocker, basically BB, Monster Freak, The Legend of Alice, Johnny Ariano, Rain Jake, Luna Luther Mew, Boring Studios, Daphne Jolly, Neon Pasu, Ego, Gallivanting Galliforms, Inger Lease, Jordan Ripley, Dusk, Drawbar, Bowie Knife, Thunder Evermore, Field of Clovers, Sheeden, Mama Peaches, Fire Newt 451, Madu, Michael, Emiraki, Yakumo Soul Queen, Cat Tiger 2, Lazy Roller, Dracos, Fuzzy Shadow 2468, Schooly Sweet, DJ Cat Meow, Embla, Codal Cuddles, Womostarf Art, Lauren, Dylan MX, Mallow Chew, Alien Drag Queen, Shortcake Snake, Andre, Dojo Kid, Mukichigo, Zelphus, Key the Queen, Placey, Dust Lotus, Russell the Jimmies, Nico Starcy, Andrew Robinson, Chris Staru, Kurt Coolman, Hikari Yu, Johnny Stars, Kara Stark Strange, Peachy Mint, and Azwix. Thank you guys so much for your support, and thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day. See you next time. Bye!